late October of 1936. Just give me 1 second. And he was taken to a hospital off ship. Unfortunately, he did die a few days later in that hospital, but he was buried at sea on October 31st, yes, Halloween again, of 1936. Now, oftentimes we'll get reports when this area was open, when guests would walk by, lately from our housekeeping staff, when they walk by, that they see just a shadow person standing at the helm. And I personally think it's Commodore Britten trying to sail her one last time. Now, we're gonna make our way inside. I'll give everybody like a minute and a half to 2 minutes. That sounds very short, but there are like 14 locations we're gonna go to. So I wanna make sure we can get to all these places. If you do go into the chart room on the left, or just the room on the left in general, there are no lights. Please be careful when you guys are inside, and then we will exit through the port side doors that are open. If you would like to lead everybody in, you're more than welcome to.
On the evening of the 18th of September, Captain Andrew McKellar asked Second Officer William Eric Stark to prepare some drinks for the captain, himself, and 2 other officers. Specifically, he asked him to make gin and limes and had asked the captain's steward Frederick Stokes for help in locating it. Stokes found what he thought was a bottle of gin in one of the captain's quarters cupboards and handed it to Stark, who made the drinks. According to the captain, the actual gin was kept in a separate cupboard along with the glassware. The gin bottle Stark had used was repurposed to hold carbon tetrachloride, which they used to clean furniture. At 9:45 that evening, Stark, feeling ill, said, "That was funny gin we had, sir, at dinner time." It was then that the captain realized that Stark needed to come to the ship's hospital straight away to have his stomach pumped, as carbon tetrachloride was highly toxic. From all reports, William didn't think it was that big of a deal. Not only did he refuse to have his stomach pumped, he joined the other officers to have actual drinks. By the following day, Officer Stark's health had started to decline. The coroner's inquest stated that he was in bed receiving injections and treatment. On September 20th, the Queen Mary arrived at Southampton. Officer Stark was immediately taken to the Royal South Hants Hospital. It appears that Stark was not comatose at this point because he was able to see and speak to his wife. She asked him why he refused to have his stomach pumped, and he said, "I did not think anything of it." 3 days later, on September 23, 1949, Officer William Eric Stark succumbed to carbon tetrachloride poisoning. He died 2 days shy of his 31st birthday. According to the Queen Mary's records, he was buried at sea. His spirit is said to haunt the ship to this day.
In our other room, see that little Looks like a, well, there's the fan and then right in front of it, there's like a hole that looks like that's the air.
Yeah.
The ship's original air conditioning system used ocean air pushed through pipes into the vessel, which worked well unless navigating through hot open water. During World War II, she was carrying upwards of 16,000 men aboard, a staggering number compared to her original passenger capacity of 2,038. She still holds the record for the largest number of people on one vessel at once. This meant men would rotate sleeping arrangements and take turns taking shelter, but this wasn't much relief as it meant the inside of her hull would reach well over safe temperatures for soldiers, and it's estimated a significant amount of lives were lost, but never documented in fear of causing a loss in morale during war times.
There's one there too.
How fresh that
Your ashtray. Damn right.
It's kind of like, our room was kind of like that, and we had like built-ins too. Like, it is this like the older stuff.
Wait, that's isn't it neat?
Excuse me. Awesome. Now, this is now called the Verandah Grill. This is one of the rentable spaces on board the Queen Mary. I think it's a very beautiful space. Now, this room would have been the place to be on your voyage. It was exclusive for first-class passengers, but this area was not included in their fare that they paid to be on board the Queen Mary. This actually cost an extra British pound sterling, or its equivalent to about $5 American. And they had to make a reservation in advance before they came and ate in this space. And they can only eat here once during their voyage. If you are a member of elite royalty, then you've had a standing reservation. You can eat here as many times as possible. Now, the artwork that you see in here is done by a singular person. Her name was Doris Zinkhuizen. During World War II, we did our very best to preserve all of the artwork on board the Queen Mary. Unfortunately, we could not remove all pieces, so this beautiful piece of art behind me you saw was covered with corkboard. This was exclusive to officers only during World War II, and they did not know that a beautiful piece of art was beyond that corkboard, so they just put a bunch of pins in this. Ms. Zinkhuizen was not happy when she received the call that she needed to touch up her beautiful piece of art. And the Queen Mary was known for never having any rodents on board the Queen Mary. Ms. Zinkhuizen knew this, so she decided to leave a present behind as revenge. There will forever be one mouse on board the Queen Mary, and it is in the painting behind me. It is not a real mouse, it's just a painting of one. It's on this side. Can anybody see it? I don't have a prize for anybody, but do you see it? No, this is a cat. Good guess. That's what everybody says. It's not that. Think higher.
Right there.
Yep, good job. Right here. Perfect. Good job. Again, I don't have a prize for you, but congratulations for finding it. Now, the reason why we come in here for Paranormal Ship Walk, as I said, this is a rentable space. So, we actually had a member of our sales team come in here. She was doing a walkthrough for one of the weddings that was going to happen in here. And before she entered into the space, she walked up just like we did moments ago, and she just saw a gentleman standing at the window in a top hat watching her. And he just continuously watched her as she made her way inside the room through those doors like we just did. And when she entered into this room, there was no one in here. Now, while we are in here, you guys are more than welcome to take some photos. The only thing I ask, don't go beyond like the wall, like where this wall ends. But I'll give everybody like a minute in here to take some photos while you're in here. The only reason I asked not to go beyond that wall or that wall on that side is because I don't know what's on the other side. So you'll be lost. But you guys are really welcome to take some photos. One other cool thing I like telling people while they're in here, you guys can take some photos as I'm talking. This would have been the dance floor for first class passengers in here as well, the Verandah Grill. And a band would play up here, and first class passengers, or that band would have to play until the first class passengers were done. We've heard stories that they played until like 7 a.m. They did get paid to be on. You would have wanted to be a crew member and not a guest, because passageway was not cheap. Toys were original to first cabin and tourist class passengers, including the rugs as well, actually, that you see. Now, originally this room was 2 decks high and outfitted with a slide that would have been in this corners here. So we, as tour guides, like to jokingly say that their parents could literally drop them off for the children's playroom while they themselves went to the adult playroom here at the bar.
The Queen's Salon, originally the first-class main lounge, is a beautiful and historic room designed as a social gathering place for first-class passengers, and it was used for everything from dancing and tea parties to lectures and concerts. The salon is decorated in an Art Deco style, with polished wood paneling and ornate light fixtures. Above the center fireplace is the second-largest piece of artwork on the ship, entitled Unicorns in Battle, by Alfred J. Oakley and Gilbert Bays. In keeping with the theme of music in the room, the panel tells the myth that when unicorns are sparring and touch horns, it creates the most beautiful music in the world. During World War II, the salon was converted into a hospital ward for wounded soldiers. After the war, it was restored to its original use as a social gathering place. Sightings of dancing specters have been reported here.
The room that we are standing in, this is now called the Queen's Salon. Now, originally, this would have been the first-class main lounge. She knocked on the door. When no answer came, she ended up keying herself into the room. Upon entering the room, she noticed a portly gentleman sitting in a chair, smoking a cigar. She explained to him that smoking was strictly prohibited on board and he needed to put it out. He then stood up from his chair, seemingly very annoyed with this housekeeper. He puffed his cigar one more time. He turned around, walked into the wall, and then vanished into the portrait of Winston Churchill that still hangs in the room till this very day. Now, the fun fact about Winston Churchill, he was known to love smoking his cigars. Now, that is a rentable room. This is why we don't have access to it. There are guests currently staying inside. This is also why we don't tell the story in front of the room. Well, they might not know the story and we don't want to scare them. I've actually had it happen 3 times during shipwalk, where the guests that have been staying inside have poked their head out from this side and walked to go into their room. They're like, "That's me, I'm staying in this room." And I got really embarrassed and we moved very quickly. We're gonna make our way down this staircase as well. Everybody, please watch your step.
Back in the gym. Wow, Taylor was pulling it all day.
We're just gonna briefly stop at this piano. I'll have, yeah, everybody can go take photos after I talk about this. So when we were in the Queen's Salon, this is the piano I was talking about. It is original to the Queen Mary. It was originally located in the Mauritania room. Unfortunately, because of the storm, it's off limits to us today. It didn't flood in there, but there was a leak and it caused a problem. This is the piano. I think it was, someone asked me, I think it was you. Oh, actually, I don't remember at this point. Someone asked me at the very beginning if we experienced anything during a tour. Was that you?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that ADHD. This is the piano that we've heard playing on my daytime Haunted Encounters tours before. We left the space 5 notes, entered into the space, it played an additional 2 notes. Do any of you know who Liberace was? So he did travel a handful of times on board. The rumor is that tourist class passengers did not have the luxury of listening to live music, so whenever he was on board, he would play for them for free. This would have been the piano he played then, which is pretty cool. If you don't know who Liberace was, think Elton John. If you don't know who Elton John is, please Google him and listen to his music. I feel like that's the most modern equivalent I can think of. I will also give everybody a second to look outside these windows. If you would like to take a photo, you're more than welcome to. Now, if you guys are making your way down the staircase, then you feel those brass knobs on the center railing. Those initially were not put in there. Tourist class children really like sliding down these rails, and they tried stopping from doing so by putting brass knobs in. Many of you touched the Ouija board while I am here.
I read about it.
Mine too. I hope not. There is one here though. Yes. We all have to fit in this space and close the door behind us. So the only thing I ask, please don't sit on the bed, but you can sit on the chair or in the couch. Of course, of course. You okay? It's just a ghost going through you. Yeah.
I'm ready.
The space that I was on.
Oh.
Sorry, they were gonna touch the Ouija board. Oh, yeah. So everybody make your way inside, fill up the space by the Ouija board. There's clearly a cricket in here. It's like
Actually, a Ouija board.
There's a Ouija board in here?
Yes. Right over here.
Who wants to play?
No,
just kidding.
I will kick you off my tour.
Oh,
Don't touch us.
oh my goodness.
Yep. I don't like it. Oh, you're turning it on.
So creepy. Oh, sorry. I think it gets too dark in here. I haven't turned my light on. Josh, turn the bathroom light on. Did you do it? Yeah. Ooh, that's really scary. Now, this is B340. This is one of the more haunted rooms on board the Queen Mary. Now, it has been featured on a lot of paranormal shows. A lot of YouTubers have also filmed in here and filmed outside of the room trying to capture something. Now, in the 60s, we had a passenger in B340, and she felt her covers being tugged away from her. She tugged them back up. They were tugged away again. Essentially, a full-on tug-of-war ensued until she remembered she was staying alone in the room. That caused her to wake up fully, and she saw a gentleman standing at the foot of her bed staring down at her. She screamed at the top of her lungs. He disappeared into thin air. Now, her scream did alert the night steward that was staying just down the corridor. He ran into her room asking what had happened. She then calmed down and explained the situation. And he said, well, I didn't see anybody leaving your room. I also didn't pass by anyone on the way to your room. In the 80s, it was just a standard hotel room. We had a housekeeper come in here. She needed to make the bed, change out the towels and the toiletries. She finished making the bed. She went out to her cart, grabbed those towels, and then she went back into the room, and all of the bedding was off of the bed on the floor in a pile. Now, we would get complaints from guests staying in the room all the time. They would call the front desk saying if the lights would start flickering, that the portholes opened and closed by themselves, or that the water faucets would turn on by themselves. Due to the enormous amount of complaints we received, we did end up closing this room down to the public, and it was stripped bare. If any of you watched the BuzzFeed Unsolved video with Shane and Ryan, this is the room that they stayed in while they were on board. Now, in 2018, the room reopened, and they marketed this as the Haunted Room Experience. They changed it into a mini suite. It was originally 3 smaller staterooms combined to make this room. It has a nice queen-size bed, pull-out couch. There's a nice walk-in closet around the corner. The instructions on how to play Bloody Mary are in the bathroom next to the mirror. This pillar has 4 different stories of guests that or crew members that have had on board. And I think everybody's seen that there's a Ouija board in here accompanied with crystals as well. Now, when it was first reopened, it cost $1,000 a night. Guests did pay the price to stay in this room, not like that. But let me reword that, because that sounds like they died. No, they paid $1,000 to stay in this room. And the first guest that stayed in this room actually ended up calling the front desk in the middle of the night saying, okay, we get it now, we're trying to sleep. Can you just turn off the special effects for the night? Front desk attendants had to explain to them multiple times that there were no special effects in B340. They left at 2 a.m. They did not make it through the night. It actually happened quite a bit after it was reopened as the Haunted Room Experience. All of the activity known to happen in this room, we do attribute to a death. Unfortunately, over time and over history, we have just lost the information in regards to this death. He has introduced himself as Walter to paranormal investigators, so we just call him Walter now. So everybody say, hi, Walter.
Hi, Walter.
I love when people like that. I will turn the light back on so you can take some photos while you are in here. Thank you, Joshua. I would say we don't have time to read all of these stories, but if you would like to take photos of them, you're more than welcome to. If you would like to check out the walk-in closet, you can as well. It's a pretty big room. I will also tell you guys that my experiences with this room. The first time I had a ship walk that I brought in, you saw that, I think it was this lamp that was on when we came inside. I made sure before my tour to turn off every single light. They were on again when I brought my tour in this room. I will also say the only place I've ever felt something physically touch me has been leaving this room. Where we were all standing before we came in here, that's usually where we go after this room. But we're not going to do that tonight. But when I walked out the threshold and into the hallway, I felt something grab my elbow and pull it back. I was not scared. It was more of a shock than anything. I think, Jesus, that scared me though. I think Walter is a very nice person, nice ghost. I don't trust. Won't have the same effect here. Oh yeah, well actually. Just gonna throw out some random facts. It's technically the 2-hour mark also, if anybody needs to leave. You are more than welcome to do so. But otherwise, we have 2 locations left. Yeah. I assumed that was what you were asking when the last time we let people inside, before 2017. Yeah.
And you used to walk through the little in the dressing room.
Yeah, you used to be able to go into the changing room.
The Grand Salon, originally the first-class dining room on the historic ocean liner. Today, it is one of the most popular event venues in Long Beach, California, and is known for its elegance and sophistication. It features 22-foot-high ceilings, and has also been used for filming movies and TV shows, such as Bugsy Malone and The X-Files. The crowning art piece in this room is the mural depicting the Queen Mary's voyages in real time. It held a lighted carved crystal miniature Queen Mary that would travel across the map, allowing passengers to see exactly where on their trip they were while traversing the Atlantic. These pieces were covered or removed temporarily during her time serving to protect them from damage. The Salon was converted to mass sleeping quarters for soldiers with multi-tiered bunks. Now a local favorite, the Queen Mary offers a royal Sunday brunch taking you on a worldwide culinary adventure and features over 50 unique dishes from around the globe. This unique experience includes live music, free-flowing champagne and imported cheeses to please any palate.
Behind me on the aft bulkhead is the largest piece of art on board the Queen Mary. It is entitled Mary England, done by Philip Connor. I will say one of my absolute favorite pieces of art on board the Queen Mary is this beautiful map here, though. Now, this map is pretty awesome. Because it's beautiful, but also this works as like a flight tracker. So the two black lines that you see, the top one, if you look to the left very closely, you'll see a little plastic ship. That is the Queen Elizabeth. The one on the right, on the bottom, that is of the Queen Mary. Originally they were made of crystal, now they're plastic. I don't know what happened to the originals, but now they're plastic. But you could come in here and you can see where you were on your voyage, which is pretty awesome. Now, the reason why we come in here for Paranormal Ship Walk, well, we were closed for almost 3 years. That scared me so badly. I was like, who's getting so we were closed for nearly 3 years. We had a handful of people on board during this time. A lot of them were contractors, but it was just a handful of people. Now, I had a contractor tell me that when he was on board during this time, every time he walked by the Grand Salon, it sounded like a party was going on in here. He could actually hear people having conversations. He could hear people cheersing their glasses together and eating and stuff. But every time he looked inside, there wouldn't be a single person in here. And I think that is pretty cool that he experienced that. I'll give everybody a moment to take a look around. that brought the Queen Mary into the port of Long Beach here and gave the keys to the city. Now, his quote was, "She breathed, she had character, she had personality. She was above all else the closest ship ever to being a living being." Now, I may be biased because I work here, but I can't think that that quote rings true.